thank you for watching the It Is Time to Stand Up. And I am excited to have fellow Houstonian singer-songwriter Justin Gambino with me today. Justin,
Yeah.
we're going to start in the past. We're going to go
Okay.
backwards before we move forwards, because I was very intrigued by your story. So you were homeschooled?
I was
Okay,
homeschooled.
so I homeschooled my boys,
Okay.
and but you were a rowdy little homeschooler. You got yourself in a little bit of trouble, didn't you?
I got myself in a lot of trouble. I mean, growing up with five siblings, we were always getting into trouble,
Yeah.
and always either hurting each other or we were always getting into some kind of mischief. But it was actually whenever um, I got my first job is whenever I started getting introduced to a different crowd than what I was raised around. Because I was raised in church, I was raised homeschooled, and
Hmm.
so it was really something that I was not used to being in a work environment, a worldly work environment,
Right.
and then getting introduced to a different crowd that started introducing me to partying and drinking and all the things that a homeschooler has never experienced before, and I went downhill from there.
Yeah. So what happened?
So I started getting mixed up with this crowd that the partying and drinking started leading into breaking and entering, theft, committing theft, and before I knew it, I was standing in a courtroom getting judged for what I did wrong. It
Oh,
was like 2 months, just 2 months after I graduated high
oh my
school.
goodness. And I know your mom was probably just praying, Jesus, 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 help him, help
Oh,
him.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
mom homeschooled all of us, so she's making sure that we're up every Sunday morning to go to church and and really pointing us in the way we should go,
Yeah.
and so I remember um, the cops coming to my house because like I'm like sleeping in that morning because I've been up all night
Hmm.
breaking and entering and committing theft, and it's not funny, but I look back now and I just see how much the Lord was orchestrating it all,
Yeah. Yeah.
even
I always pray, Lord, like let my kids get caught.
right.
Whatever they do, let them
I
get
was
caught.
not I was not a good I was not a good I was not I was not a good bad person, I guess you could say, because I did not cover my tracks well. I was a horrible person to like cover my tracks because the next morning the cops were at my house and they're like, "Yeah, we have you on your camera,
Hmm.
and we knew it was you."
Yeah.
And I can see my mom glaring at me on the side, like, just, I mean, if looks could kill,
Yes. That is not a
they
look
were
you want
coming
to
in. They
see,
were coming
right?
in hot.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happened?
Well, then went down to the police department, turned myself in. I just turned 18. I just graduated high school,
Hmm.
and the judge that got assigned to my case, he looked at me and he said, "Okay, this is someone that I've never seen before. Like, I'm looking for a record that doesn't exist because I've never seen you before. Can you tell me about yourself? Kind of like you are now."
Hmm.
And so I started telling him about how I got five siblings, and he starts asking if both my parents are in the picture,
Right.
who's bringing in the income. So he's asking me all these questions. So I'm answering them one at a time. And he said, "Okay, I don't normally do this, but this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to give you a choice. And there's going to be consequences to your actions. No doubt about that. But you can take the felony because you stole enough for it to be a felony. You can take the felony and go to jail today, and you can be in jail for at least 6 months. Who knows? You could probably get out early if you're on good behavior, but you can either do that, have a felony on your record for the rest of your life, or I'd like to give you the opportunity to do a lot of community service. You're still going to have Class A misdemeanor on your record. That's just that's how it happens. That's how this works."
Hmm.
And he said, "And then I want you to go and sign up for a branch of the military. That's another option. The choice is yours today, leaving here. You can go to jail today, or you can go to the recruiter's office and start straightening up your life because I feel like you're a good kid that just needs a second chance."
Yeah.
And so I took that second choice
It's smart.
very quickly.
Yeah.
And so I signed up for 8 years
Okay.
in the Navy.
Okay. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. You're
Yes,
welcome.
we appreciate that.
I signed up for 8 years, and that was 2005 is whenever I went out for boot camp.
Yeah.
And that I thought, at the age of 15, that's whenever I got my first job, started getting mixed up with the wrong crowd. But that was also when I got my first guitar.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I think looking back, I think it's pretty amazing how the Lord there was like this pull in either direction
right.
spiritually,
Right.
in the spiritual realm.
Yep.
And so the Lord is calling me to music, and then the enemy steps in and is like, I can distract him
He
here.
comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yeah.
That's his mode.
Yeah. And so I thought going off to the Navy was like the end of my dreams of doing music.
Oh.
Yeah.
But then what happened?
Well, then 2007 is whenever I got deployed to Iraq.
Okay.
It was my one and only deployment in the Navy. I was a CB. I don't know if you know what a CB is. So
I do. We grew up with CBs.
So
in
I
our
was
home.
I was a
CB
CB.
operator?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was a mechanic in the Navy. I was a CB.
Okay.
And I was told that we would never deploy to Iraq, but they always tell you like recruiters will always lie to you.
Uh-huh.
And so I found out real quick that whenever they said we weren't going to Iraq, within 2 months of being assigned to my unit, they said we're going to Iraq. 2007, I get deployed over there, and it was about halfway through my deployment. Middle of the summer, we're a little bit south of Baghdad in Iraq, and I remember there was a chapel service that was held on base every Wednesday night. And I was pretty reluctant to go, so I didn't go at first. And then it was on a Wednesday night whenever I felt led to go. And all my buddies wanted to go there was like a USO tour that came onto the base, and so they did a concert for the troops. And I wanted to go with all my friends, but I kind of didn't want to go. I felt led to go to the chapel that night.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that I did, because the chaplain, there's maybe like 12 of us at this service. And the chaplain asks all 12 of us, does anyone here know how to play the guitar? Anybody here have experience leading worship? And I did not want to raise my hand at first, but next thing I know, I'm calling my dad, asking my dad to send me my only guitar that they got me just, let's see, I turned 21 in Iraq, so 6 years after I got my first guitar. And, I sometimes wonder, like, just what the emotions and the feelings were of my father whenever he hears the voice of his prodigal son calling home.
So beautiful.
And saying, Dad, can you send me my guitar? There's this opportunity for me to lead worship. And then my dad knew that the Lord was pursuing my heart, and there was a work going on.
That's so amazing. And I can just imagine exactly how your dad felt when he got that call. So you started playing music, and did you have time while you were there to like work on songwriting, or when did the songwriting come in? Or did you just play worship while you were there?
I just did worship while I was there.
Share kind of the progression of it.
Yeah, I just did worship while I was there, just songs that I knew by heart. I didn't really start writing until I came home and started dealing with all the depression and the anger and the PTSD. But the progression of it was, I started leading worship, had my guitar. I'd probably do a couple cover songs that my buddies knew when we were just hanging out on bass. And a lot of them were looking at me and saying, what are you doing here? Like, you don't belong here. This is not where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be doing music. And so for maybe like the last 3 years of my enlistment, they were just encouraging me to like finish your enlistment, get out, pursue music, because that's what you're supposed to do. And so, but it wasn't until got back from Iraq and I thought, I had like a fresh start coming back, leading worship overseas. But that's whenever all the
trauma
came in. And I started finding myself drifting further from God, because then I was trying to numb all that with alcohol.
Right.
And so you have alcohol, you have suicidal thoughts, you have all this stuff going on. And I'm thinking I can come home and just do a complete restart. And there was a friend of mine and a mentor that saw a kid in need, and I was just 22 years old at this time, and he hosted a Friday night Bible study every night, and he said he basically had the same invitation that chaplain had for me in Iraq. He said, "Get your guitar, come help me lead worship." And that at that Bible study, that's whenever I started really diving deep into worshiping the Lord, and it was just like me and him, no one else around.
So
And I
good.
started writing music then. And I was reading a book at the time, talking about like find the thing that brings you and others around you closer to God.
Yeah.
And that's what your calling is. And I just remember reading that book, and someone coming up to me at the Bible study Friday night after Friday night and said, "Whenever you lead worship, I feel the closest to the Lord."
Yeah.
I said, "I feel the same way." And I just knew then that I was supposed to do music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about this new album. What do you have a favorite song on it?
Oh,
I just got
man.
to listen to it and I was kind of binging it. I do have to I do have to say, y'all, it is good.
Thank
It
you.
is it's my kind of jam.
Thank you.
It's just got a really good vibe to it and very worshipful.
Yeah.
I don't yeah, it's good.
I if I had to pick a favorite, if I absolutely had to pick a favorite, can I narrow it down to two?
Yes, yeah.
I would say that my favorites are A Father's Heart and Worth Fighting For. They're a little bit slower or worshipful. But those two are just, I don't know, like I normally don't listen to my own music, right?
Yeah.
I'll listen to, if I hear it come on the radio, I'm like, "Ooh, my song's on the radio," and I'll turn it up.
Yeah.
And just to be in that moment.
Yeah.
But those are the two songs that like I could just listen to, because I don't know, it doesn't really seem like me coming through the speakers. I can dive into a time of worship
Yeah.
in those songs. So yeah, I really love those
That's
songs.
really cool. So who are your musical influences?
Oh man. Growing up in youth group, we listened to a lot of Audio A, listened to a lot of Switchfoot, Project 86. Do you remember some Project 86? They're a little bit heavier rock. And then in the worship world, I listened to a lot of Jeremy Camp
I love Jeremy.
growing up.
So good.
I listened to a lot of the Newsboys and DC Talk, and so that was, I remember Jeremy Camp was the first CD that I ever got at the local music store. And
Did you ever go in Houston? They would have KSBJ would have those brown bag.
the brown bag
lunches.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
the
they would have
Chick-fil-A.
artists come in.
Yep.
I saw Jeremy Camp at a brown bag. And
Really?
yeah, it was like a small parking lot, and he was outside. And
I might have been there for that one.
Jeremy Camp.
I might have been there for that one. I can't remember. I mean, it's been a while since I've been to one of those concerts, just
yeah,
because
they
I'm always on the road myself now.
Had him in years. I mean, that was back in the day. I would take my kids when we homeschooled. So,
Okay,
yeah.
that's so awesome.
Yeah. Well, what's next for you?
I'm working on new music now.
Yay.
Working on new music, and then working on a new album.
Excellent.
Isn't that crazy?
When can we, do we have any ideas? Like, is this a 2025 project or?
No, I'm definitely going to be releasing a couple singles this year.
Okay, good.
Leading up to the new album. So I think the album in its entirety is going to be 2025.
Okay.
But have a few songs in the oven right now
Yeah.
that we're baking up, and so we're
Good.
really excited about them.
Good. Well, thank you so much for being
You're
here
welcome.
today.
You're
Y'all,
welcome.
do yourselves a favor and go follow Justin online, go get his music, and then you can thank me later because it's good. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.